from buying championships and controlling national selection to straight-up tragedy. This is the story of how drug cartels once owned Colombian football. Colombia's cocaine and drug trafficking industry is something that dominated the nation's history and culture throughout the 80s and 90s. This was down to two main groups, the cartels of Cali and those of Medellin, which was headed up by the infamous Pablo Escobar. At the end of the 1970s, cartels saw the beautiful game as a huge opportunity. Not only was it the perfect depository for laundered drug money, but it also worked out as fantastic PR to appeal to the locals through the nation's favourite pastime, football. The Orejuela brothers of the Cali cartel were one of the first to take this route and attempted to take over one of Colombia's most successful teams in Deportivo Cali. The Green and Whites rejected their advances, and despite being lifelong supporters of Deportivo, they instead took over their rivals, America de Cali. America were a side with little historical success, but with the Orejuela brothers' financial backing, they transformed their side, bringing in some of the continent's top talents. With this, America lifted 5 straight league titles and reached 3 Libertadores finals. It was the perfect arrangement. For as long as the success lasted, America would allow the Cali cartel to inflate transfer fees and gate receipts in order for their earnings to appear as legitimate. Recognising the positive impact the Orejuela brothers' football venture was having on business, Pablo Escobar sought to do the same. In the early 80s, the Medellin cartel invested in various clubs, most notably Atletico Nacional and Millonarios. With cartel ownership dominating the Colombian National League, the success of their football clubs will correlate to the success of the cartels. As such, Escobar's Atletico Nacional lifted the league title in '81, only for America de Cali to again win 5 straight titles from the following season. However, from 1987, things changed. It was the first time that Escobar was included in the Forbes list as one of the world's richest men, and by no coincidence, Millonarios won 2 straight titles, and Nacional became the first ever Colombian side to lift the Libertadores in 1989. With club legend Francisco Maturana managing Nacional and the national team simultaneously, the ownership of Colombian drug cartels resulted in a golden generation of players. The likes of Freddy Rincon, Tino Asprilla and Carlos Valderrama were all part of the side going into the 1994 World Cup, with the South Americans ranked amongst the favourites. However, prior to the World Cup, one of Colombia's star players, Renny Higuita, yes, that one, was banned from the tournament for his involvement in a cartel-related kidnapping. Losing their first game of the tournament, Colombia needed a win against host USA to be in with a chance of progressing out of the group stages. Prior to the game, the Cali cartel put out a message on national television instructing Maturana to not include Gabriel Gomez in the starting 11, otherwise there would be severe consequences. Maturana was left with no choice but to oblige, with Colombia sinking to a 2-1 defeat and an early exit from the tournament. Centre-half Andres Escobar was on the brink of a European move to Atletico Madrid, but his own goal that helped eliminate his nation saw him gunned down outside a Medellin nightclub. His killer was caught and sentenced to 45 years in prison, but was released after just 11, with the courts also ordering multi-million peso compensation to be paid to the defender's family, but it was never paid. The image that the cartels had built up through football club ownership was in tatters, and with Colombia's image being cleaned up through the years, so too was the influence of drug cartels in football. Supporters remained but were a minimum, and in 2012, Millonarios offered to return the titles that they'd won under cartel ownership. Since then, Colombia has continually strived to re-image both its history and football, but traces of the cartel's influence remain in all walks of life, including the nation's favourite pastime.